It's 6 p.m. on a Friday here in Korea. Welcome to our newscast. I'm Daniel Che. Let us begin with the headlines. Seoul and Washington finally decide to deploy the U.S. missile defense system THAAD to Korea by 2017 after a series of close discussions by a joint working group. President Park Geun-hye emphasizes the need for the ruling party to make a clear difference this time by putting the people's needs above political interests. A day after Samsung broke news of surprise earnings, the country's second tech giant, LG, follows suit by announcing its highest operating profit in 2 years. Seoul and Washington confirmed that the U.S. missile defense system known as Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, or THAAD, will be deployed to the Korean peninsula. Our top story, the decision that will have massive security implications throughout the region. Kim Hyun-bin starts us off.
South Korea's defense ministry made the announcement on Friday that THAAD will be deployed to the Korean peninsula following months of negotiations between Seoul and Washington. THAAD is designed to take down incoming North Korean ballistic missiles.
To protect our citizens and U.S. forces in Korea from North Korea's WMD and ballistic missile, the two allies have decided to deploy THAAD to the Korean peninsula.
The deputy minister added that the goal is to deploy THAAD to the Korean peninsula before the end of 2017. A joint working group has been focusing on that since February. Now that the decision to bring THAAD here has been finalized, the group will focus all of its attention on finding a suitable location.
This decision is an important milestone, but there is still work to do. We will endeavor to identify a suitable site in the Republic of Korea that offers the greatest military effectiveness for THAAD and meets environmental, health, and safety standards.
Experts have suggested either Chilgok in Gyeongsang-buk-do province, as it could cover U.S. bases in Daegu and most of the South Korean peninsula, or Pyeongtaek in Gyeonggi-do province. South Korea's defense ministry says it's in the final stages of making the decision, and will make an announcement within a couple weeks at the latest. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
Every big decision comes with consequences. That applies to THAAD. Seoul and Washington see it as a necessary upgrade to add an extra layer of defense against North Korea, while Beijing and Moscow see it as a threat. Kwon So-ah looks into how the choice could affect South Korea's relations with China and Russia.
China and Russia were quick to respond to the South Korea-U.S. announcement on the deployment of THAAD. Beijing's foreign ministry issued a statement less than an hour after the confirmation, urging Seoul and Washington to stop the deployment process, not complicate the regional situation, and not damage Beijing's strategic security interests. It added that the system hurts peace and stability in the region and doesn't help in denuclearizing the Korean peninsula. Russia's foreign ministry said in a statement a short while later it's seriously concerned and that Seoul and Washington's decision was made despite the strong and persistent opposition of Russia and a number of other countries. Seoul's foreign ministry says it informed China and Russia a day ahead of the announcement through diplomatic channels, adding it will continue close communication with both on the matter. China and Russia say the system's radar can reach into their territory, threatening their strategic interests. Their staunch opposition has given rise to concerns that the decision will hurt Seoul's diplomatic ties with Beijing and Moscow. Some experts say China, South Korea's major economic partner, could go as far as that and damage trade relations. Others say it won't go that far.
It's not realistic for China to take revenge on South Korea, because for China, the continued stable development of South Korea-China relations is much more important than the THAAD issue. THAAD won't damage South Korea-Russia ties either, because for Russia, the bigger issue is how much military power the U.S. is devoting to expansion in the Asia-Pacific region.
Meanwhile, the Japanese government has lent its support to the decision, saying further cooperation between the U.S. and South Korea will contribute to regional peace and stability. Kwon So-ah, Arirang News.
Moving on, sitting down with the newly sworn-in lawmakers of her party, President Park Geun-hye asked for united efforts with the government in carrying out her policy initiatives and state affairs. The Saenuri Party vowed to reform itself to reclaim its status. Song Ji-sun has more from that luncheon.
A brand new parliament that puts people before political interest. That was President Park Geun-hye's message to lawmakers from her Saenuri Party who joined her for lunch on Friday. President Park called on the new parliament to transform itself for a new politics and work together as one with the administration.
이제는 과거와 다른 새로운 국회의 모습을 보여야 하고 정치적 이해관계를 떠나 국가와 국민을 위해 당과 정부가 혼연일치가 되어 국정을 원활하게 운영해서 위기를 극복할 수 있기를 바랍니다.
Park asked for the party's cooperation in carrying out reforms to strengthen Seoul's economic fundamentals and lay the groundwork for peaceful unification on the Korean peninsula by bringing about change in North Korea. The ruling party vowed to reform itself from within to fulfill its responsibility to the people and give the administration another push for the remainder of President Park's term.
Now is the time for the Saenuri Party to change this crisis into an opportunity. People are watching us, and as the ruling party, we must fulfill our responsibility to the people and the nation.
President Park stressed that the administration's policy drives are for the people and that all must unite to counter the challenges stemming from North Korea's continued provocations, coupled with the uncertainties on the economic front, both in domestic and global markets. 송지선, Arirang News.
Arrest warrants have been issued for 2 lawmakers from the People's Party. The minor opposition bloc is in turmoil over the high-profile corruption scandal, which already forced its co-founders to resign. Jim Young-gil updates us on the developments.
Prosecutors in Seoul have issued arrest warrants for 2 lawmakers from the People's Party, Kim Soo-min and Park Sun-suk. Kim, a first-term lawmaker elected as a proportional representative, is accused of receiving over $150,000 in kickbacks from advertising companies during the party's general election campaign in April. Park, who served as the party's Secretary General in charge of accounting during the campaign, has also been implicated in the case. Speaking to reporters Friday, the People's Party spokesperson raised questions about the necessity of the warrants.
Arrest warrants were issued for 2 of our lawmakers. We apologize, but we must consider carefully whether arrest warrants are appropriate for them.
The bribery scandal erupted earlier last month after the National Election Commission claimed that Kim Han-pak received a collective $200,000 in illicit political funds from 2 PR firms. Kim testified that she was acting on orders from the party's former Deputy Secretary General Wang Ju-hyun. She also said that Wang directed her to forge bogus contracts with the 2 firms to get the money. Prosecutors arrested Wang last week on charges of violating the election law. The scandal has dealt a serious blow to the new center-left party, which was founded just 5 months ago and has pledged to pursue a new type of politics. It is the party's first corruption scandal and has dampened its momentum as a powerful third force within the National Assembly. The scandal has also further tarnished the image of former party co-chair An Chol-soo, a former software mogul turned politician who has been building his political career on a clean politics philosophy. Both An and co-chair Chun Jung-bae resigned from the party last week to take political responsibility for the scandal. Jim Young-gil, Arirang News.
Elsewhere around the world, a panic ensued in Dallas, Texas, where 11 police officers were shot during a protest against recent police shootings of 2 African Americans in the last 3 days. The police are closing in on the snipers, but many of the details are still unknown. Oh Soo-young reports.
5 policemen have been shot dead and 6 other officers wounded during a mass rally in Dallas, Texas, over the fatal police shootings of 2 African-American men this week. Around 9 p.m. local time, a group of snipers opened fire from elevated positions, hitting 11 officers.
I was walking, and the sniper just started shooting. Man, like all of the cops were getting shot, man. I just saw cops bending over, man. Like it had to be like 5 or 6 cops, like they was all getting shot down, man.
According to Dallas Police Chief David Brown, it's unclear how many gunmen there were, but 3 suspects are currently in custody, and a 4th was cornered by officers at a downtown garage. 1 suspect was arrested after a shootout with authorities, and a suspicious package discovered nearby was secured and inspected by a bomb squad, according to the police. Another suspect turned himself in after his picture was posted on Twitter by the police, calling the man a person of interest. He was later released after questioning. The police also said an individual spotted with a camouflage bag had thrown it into a vehicle before driving off at high speed. Both occupants of the car were detained. The incident comes amid mounting public outrage over Wednesday's shooting of Philando Castile, the second black American to be shot and killed by the police this week. Castile's fiancée, who was with him in the car at the time, said he'd been shot 4 or 5 times for no reason, as he moved to take out his license and registration. She streamed his final moments on Facebook as he slumped bleeding against the driver's seat. As the video circulated, thousands took to the streets in protest across the country, in Washington, D.C., New York, Philadelphia and Minnesota. According to data from the Washington Post, more than 500 people have been shot to death by police this year. Castile is believed to be the 123rd African American among them to have met this fate. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
Shifting gears now, just a day after Samsung Electronics released its earnings guidance, more pleasant surprises. Local rival LG Electronics unveiled its own report card, showing its operating profit more than double in the second quarter from a year ago. Shin Se-min brings us the uplifting digits.
LG Electronics posted its highest earnings in 2 years in a second quarter of this year. According to the company's earnings guidance, its operating profit came to over $500 million in the April to June period, up almost 140% from a year ago. Sales edged up 0.5% on year to over $12 billion. The earnings guidance is almost in line with the market consensus and marks the highest quarterly profit since the second quarter of 2014. Analysts expect the company's consumer electronics and home appliances sectors to have led the gains.
The home appliances division is expected to have done well, especially on the seasonal demand for air conditioners. The home entertainment arm is expected to post similar earnings compared to the last quarter. While in terms of units sold, they may be similar, in terms of profitability, it's been better as LG moves towards high-value premium products.
But it's a different story for the company's mobile arm. With sales of its flagship G5 smartphone below expectations, the mobile division likely posted an operating loss in the second quarter, continuing the loss for over a year now. Sales of its G5 model are estimated at below the 2.5 million mark, a contrast from the market expectation of up to 3.5 million. Anticipation was high that the phone would lead a turnaround for the mobile arm due to its initial popularity. For the third quarter, analysts expect earnings to dip slightly overall due to seasonal factors for the home appliances arm and to rising prices of display panels for the home and entertainment business. However, LG Innotek is likely to see a turnaround as it'll supply dual-lens camera modules for Apple's new iPhone to be released in September. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Great news for fans and supporters of the man who brought South Korea's first Olympic swimming gold, Park Tae-hwan. He will be competing in the upcoming Olympics. He has been cleared by the Court of Arbitration for Sport to compete at next month's Games in Rio. It was been ruled that there is no lawful reason to ban him from the Summer Games. The Korean Olympic Committee said earlier on Friday that they would respect the tribunal's decision. So Park Tae-hwan is now expected to be on that plane to Rio. We'll have more updates on this story in our later newscast. Typhoon Nepartak arrived in Taiwan, forcing thousands to evacuate. 2 deaths and more than 60 injuries have been reported so far. The Korean government is also on alert as it could affect the country starting Monday. Lee Min-young has the latest from the island nation.
Super Typhoon Nepartak is battering Taiwan, devastating parts of the island. The typhoon made landfall in Taiwan early Friday, about 15 kilometers south of the eastern city of Taitung, packing wind speeds of 240 kilometers an hour. The storm has been pounding the eastern coast with torrential rain and wind, prompting heavy rain alerts and grounding both ships and planes.
Of course we couldn't sleep. We were woken up in the middle of the night by the noise, and it was very scary. It's the first time we've faced such a big typhoon.
The whole steel roof was blown off in the front and the back. Then the water came inside the room.
More than 15,000 people have been evacuated, and damages have been reported as violent gusts of wind caused trees to fall and windows to shatter. Power outages have left 1,300 homes in the dark. Nepartak is the first super typhoon to hit Taiwan in 2016 and the largest in nearly 6 years. The typhoon is expected to strike China on Saturday and will make its way toward the Korean peninsula on Monday. Korea's Ministry of Public Safety and Security said that it will be on emergency alert throughout. It added that it will take necessary precautions to prevent large-scale damage, as the ground is unstable in many areas due to a bout of monsoon rain earlier this week. Nepartak will lose some of its force by the time it passes Korea's east coast, but heavy rain and strong winds are still expected to lash the nation from Monday through Wednesday. Lee Min-young, Arirang News.
These are the stories we're following at this hour. For more updates, do tune in at 10 p.m. Korea time. For now, thank you for watching.